Hello, YouTubers. I know it's been a minute since last time I posted a video, but I came across a video earlier today on YouTube from, I guess it was a complication of women complaining about where are all the high value men at? Men without hoes, where are you? Why is it so hard to find a good guy? And I'm sitting there thinking, it's not the men's problem. Or excuse me, the problem isn't with the men in general. It's with these fucking modern day delusional ass females with their fucking outlandish quote standards. In reality, they're outlandish preferences. There's nothing wrong with having high standards. But when you're like a 5 at best on the looks department, when you're a heifer and you think that you're a 10 who deserves a Chad with a bag to wife you up, there's a significant percentage of the female population that's just out of touch with reality. A lot of women think that, the kind of guy that they're looking for, Chads with bags, that these motherfuckers grow on trees. They don't. Women, a lot of women today, they go to school, they have careers, they make their own money. And they think that because, quote, they're successful, that they should automatically be able to attract the guy that they want. But here's the thing that a lot of women today who hit those check marks fail to realize: that the men that they want don't care how educated they are, don't care what their careers are, don't care how much money they make. Those guys, they're already educated. They already have careers. They already make their own money. They're not looking for a woman that necessarily hits those fucking check marks. Those guys, Chads with bags, they're looking for a female that has time for them, that's young, that's fertile, that's compliant, that's not argumentative, that isn't, consumed with other things, that's family oriented. That's the kind of female that those guys are looking for, because they can provide for that. Whereas most men, they have no choice but to, value women who are educated, have careers, and make money. Because for most men, they can't provide for a family on their income solely. Not in today's world. But the men that most women want do not limit themselves only to, quote, the women that most women think are on these guys' level. Let me repeat that one more time. Or let me rephrase it this way. Men who are educated, who have careers, who make their own money, the number of women that will be open to having them wipe them up will drastically increase. In other words, these guys basically have their pick of the litter, especially if they're good looking. However, women who are educated, have careers, who make their own money, the percentage of men that they will even consider allowing to wipe them up significantly shrinks. Yet, most women think that they're the fucking prize. When in reality, the men that they all want, those guys are the fucking prize. That's right, ladies. Most of you are not the fucking prize. Now, if you were to allow yourselves to expand the pool of men that you would consider wifing you up, then most of those guys, yes, they will consider you the prize. But the problem for most of you ladies is that most men do not make you tingle down there. That's right. In reality, most women rate 80% of men as being below a fucking 5. Where 5 is average, most women rate 80% of men below a 5. In other 20% of men that most women rate above an 8, most women only find 1% of men to be naturally sexually appealing to them. I'm talking about men that they'll have one night stands with, that they'll have sex on a first date with, that they'll have situationships with, men that they don't make wait for sex, that they don't make wait to commit, that they don't make be faithful, men that they will fucking let run through them over and over again. I'm talking about those guys. In other words, the 1% of men that most women will blame all men for cheating, for being dogs, for not being able to keep it in their pants. In reality, most men don't have the option to fucking cheat. Especially when most women rate 80% of men as being below a fucking 5. I mean, what? Am I supposed to believe that a bunch of fucking below 5 guys out there are out there cheating and racking up huge body counts? Give me a fucking break. Most men have a hard enough time attracting one fucking female to even give them the time of fucking day. 1% of men are literally running through, pumping and dumping, smashing and dashing, hitting and running through probably 35-40% of women out there. I'm not bullshitting. In 2023, which was 2 years ago, soon to be 3 years ago because we're at the end of 2025, Morgan Stanley, the investment firm, predicted that by 2030, 42% of women age 40 and over will be both single and fucking childless. Single and childless. You know what that means? That means by the time they're 40 and they don't have any kids, chances are they're not going to have any fucking kids. You know why that's the case? Because a growing percentage of women today are deciding that, you know what, they'd rather just stay single and grow old alone than settle for a man that doesn't make them tingle down there. In the past, well, throughout history, most women have settled for men that do not make them tingle down there, that don't turn them on, that don't make them wet down there, because there simply aren't enough Chads and bad boys to go around for all these fucking females that want them some Chad bad boy, some Chad man meat, or some bad boy bone. Only 1% of men qualify for being a Chad or a bad boy. I mean, do you know the amount of check marks, the number of check marks that a man has to fucking meet in order to be considered a Chad or a bad boy? The number one metric that eliminates most men from being considered to be a Chad or a bad boy is not being 6 feet tall. Only 13.7% of men are at least 6 feet tall. That's including married men, gay men, men who are in prison. Now, when you factor in like how hot he is, how in shape he is he funny, how much money he makes, his ability to conversate, etc., etc., etc. All those fucking check marks go into lowering drastically that 13.7% of men. So when you have all these fucking check marks that most women are looking for in a man, yeah, only 1% of men make most women tingle down there. Yet, most women think they're all fucking 10s. They all think they're boss babes, they're queens, don't settle. You deserve it. You deserve that perfect guy. Sheryl fucking Sandberg says that, you know what, when you're in your 20s, go for the hot guy. Hot girl summer. Live your best life. And then when you're in your 30s, then you find a good guy to fucking settle. AKA a fucking simp. Who'll fucking pay full price for something that's ran through, that some fucking Chad or bad boy got for fucking free. But here's the fucking newsflash. In the past, most women were able to, even though most women settle for men that didn't make them tingle down there, most women were able to make these relationships, these marriages work. Primarily because that up until modern day times, most women didn't have access to education, to careers, to money-making opportunities that were afforded men. So women, basically for most of human civilization, had to basically settle for men that did not make them tingle. And they were able to make those marriages work as long as the guy was a decent guy, who was a good father, who provided, and civilization was able to fucking progress. However, in today's world, a significant percentage of women go to school, are educated, have their own careers, and make their own money. And they've taken the mentality that, well, if men who are educated, have careers, and make their own money, are able to have their pick of the litter when it comes to women, why can't women who are educated, have careers, make their own money, why can't they have their pick of the litter when it comes to men? Because women don't pick men. Men pick women. Now, true, women will pick men that they want to have sex with. But when it comes to marriage, men pick women. The problem for women today is that they have no problem getting sex from the men that they want to have sex with. But when it comes to being wifed up by the men that they want, those guys are not wifing up most women because there's not enough of those guys to go around. It doesn't matter how educated, successful, how much money a woman makes. Most women want the same type of guy. They want a guy that's tall, that's hot, that's funny, that's great conversation, that's got status, that is, that guy. Doesn't matter if she's fucking Cheryl fucking Sandberg, Oprah, or barista at fucking Starbucks. Most women want the same type of fucking guy. But that guy who does not grow on fucking trees, that guy, he'll fuck a variety of different females when he's in this, wanting to sow his oats stage. But when he's looking for a woman to wife up, he's picky. He's very selective. And the things that most women who are educated, successful, who make their own money, think that they have going for them, in reality, those things work against them. Because that guy don't give a fuck about how educated, what kind of career you have, or how much money you have. He is looking for a female that has qualities that will fit what he doesn't have. He's busy. He's consumed with his career. He wants a woman who has time for family. Who has time for him when he comes home and can unwind and relax. He doesn't want to have to come home to a woman that's fucking tired from her day at the fucking office. And yet all you fucking boss babes out there think that the guy who's that guy wants to come home to fucking you. Fucking Delulu. That's what most of you fucking modern day females are. A bunch of fucking Delulus. You're not 10s. You're not queens. You're not fucking boss babes. You're not that woman. And that's why Morgan Stanley 2 years ago predicted that by 2030, 42% of you boss babes are going to be fucking single with no children by the time you're fucking 40. And you know what? Another news flash. That's probably a conservative fucking estimate. We're 3 days away from January the 1st, 2026, which means we're only 4 years away from 2030. Come back to this video in 2030 when we find out what percentage of women who are 40 and over by then are actually single and childless. And the reason that is, it's not because women have, quote, high standards. It's because you fucking females out there have fucking delusional fucking preferences. You see, like on these dating apps, women are allowed to filter out for height. And they think, men who are 6 feet tall, who are hot, who got great conversation, who are funny, who have status, educated, make money. It ain't that hard to find that guy. And yet, are you young? Are you fertile? Do you have a low body count? Are you compliant? Do you listen? Are you submissive? Are you wife material? And I say that, wife material. Because all I hear from a bunch of you fucking modern day females out there is you want your partner. Newsflash. The men that most of you ladies are looking for are not looking for a fucking partner. They're looking for a wife. Now, most men, they have no choice but to look for a fucking wife, a partner, because of the economics of today's society. But the men that most of you females want, that motherfucker is looking for a wife. And most of you ladies out there are not wife material. That guy, Chad with a bag, ain't looking to wife up some fucking boss babe who's fucking 1,000 fucking check marks that she expect that motherfucker to meet. Yet she's totally crickets to when it comes to what she brings to the fucking table, because she thinks she's the fucking table. Yeah, that guy may fuck you, he may run through you, but that motherfucker ain't gonna wife you up. And I see these podcasts after podcasts of these fucking women, bitching, complaining, lamenting, pleading. Man, where are you at? Where are all the good guys at? Where are all the fucking high value men at? Men without hoes, where are you? And it's like, ladies, you allow these chads and bad boys to fucking run through you. It's your fucking fault. You allow these guys to fucking pump and dump you, hit and run, smash and dash, run through you, and without making them wait for sex, without making them pay for dinner, without holding them to any kind of fucking standard. And then, when you decide to pivot to a non-Chad, to a non-bad boy, usually when you hear that fucking bio-cloxk ticking, like when you're in your late 20s, early to mid-30s, and you realize that Chad and the bad boy have zero interest in ever wifing you up, then you fucking turn to those guys, the non-Chads, the non-bad boys, aka the good guy, and then you want to fucking start imposing standards on those guys. You want to make those guys wait. You want to make them pay for dinner. You want to make them be willing to commit. You want to make them be faithful. You want to make them jump through all kinds of hoops and hurdles before you'll even consider having sex with them. And the reason you do that is because you want to make sure that they hit enough fucking check marks that will basically compensate you for giving up sexual pleasure with a man. Let me repeat that one more time. You need a non-Chad, non-bad boy to hit enough check marks when it comes to the non-physical things that you're looking for in a relationship. Whether it's money, is he funny, faithful, commitment, conversation ability, whatever, status. You need to make sure that he can hit enough check marks that will basically compensate you for sacrificing not being able to enjoy sex with a partner. Because most men do not make most women tingle down there. Like I said, Most women rate 80% of men as being below a fucking 5. And of the 20% of men that most women rate above an 8, most of you ladies only find 1% of men to be naturally sexually appealing to you. You know what that says? That most women rate most men as either being dog shit or hot shit. No in-betweens. Above an 80 or below a 5. That means men who are like 5s, 6s, 7s, or even 8s get lumped with the below 5 guys. That's how fucking most of these fucking modern day females view most men. A guy who's a fucking 8 is lumped with the below 5 guys. And if you think I'm full of shit, there's a lady who wrote a book. I can't remember her name, but she wrote a book titled Marry Him. I'm sure you Google it. Where she interviewed a bunch of men and a bunch of women. And she asked them a number of different questions about relationships and marriages and all that. But here's the one question that she asked both men and women that really just made an impression on me was this. If you could meet a partner that could give you 80% of what you're looking for from a partner, would you be happy? When it came to the men, overwhelmingly, the men said, hell yes, sign me up. The men would be thrilled to meet a woman that could give them 80% what they're looking for from a partner. However, when the women were asked this, overwhelmingly, the women said, hell no, that's settling. The lady who wrote the book is some kind of like clinical psychologist. She said she was shocked by this. And the ladies were like, no, that's settling. In what fucking universe is finding somebody who's able to give you 80% of what you're looking for from a partner fucking settling? So, if you females out there think I'm full of shit, go check that book out. It's titled Marry Him. I forget the lady's name, but I'm sure that you could Google it and find her name and read articles about her book. But that's just a classic example of just like what most men just have no chance today when it comes to dating or marriage. Because most of these females today are just a bunch of fucking, delusional delulus who think that they deserve like the perfect guy. Some Chad with a bag, some Disney, some Christian Grey from, what's that fucking movie called? 50 Shades of fucking Grey. Some billionaire who's fucking hot, and yet he's got loads of time to come up with elaborate, kinky, sexual fantasies for his fucking, mid-level employee female that works for him. I mean, give me a fucking break. That's not how fucking reality works. But these fucking women, I'm telling you, man, they think that they deserve a guy that's just going to fucking focus who's that guy who's, hella successful, hella career, hella money making, and this guy is just going to fucking, have all kinds of time to just be that guy. And the reality is that's not how the world works. A man doesn't just, become that guy. And then, all of a sudden, he's just got all this time in the world to focus on the wife. Men who have it in them to become that guy have to keep put forth the effort to maintain that guy, being that guy. And, you know, there was a guy named Rich Cooper who said that, you know, most women don't care about the struggle that a man has to go through to become that guy. They just wait at the finish line to fuck the winner. Women don't care. They don't care the struggle about that guy. They just want, you know, to beat the finish line. And, you know, they'll fuck the winner. And, I mean, it's just, you know, most guys are either just going to end up being divorced, wrecked, economically fucking raped during a divorce. They lose everything. The women use the children as fucking, you know, weapons of war. And it's not just with the men. I mean, if you ever look at the like the nature of like lesbian marriages versus gay male marriages, if it was always the man's fault, then you would think that when lesbians got together, then they would just be able to make it work all the time. But if you look at the numbers, lesbians have not only the highest rate of divorce, but they also have the highest rate of domestic violence. And then you have straight couples, and then at the bottom you have gay male couples. Gay male couples have the lowest divorce rate and the lowest rate of domestic violence. Why is that? This is always the guy's fault. If we're the cheaters, we're the abusers, then you would think that gay men would just be fucking, you know, having sky-high rates of divorces and sky-high rates of domestic violence. But no, it's lesbians. And here's my theory why. See, men know that, like straight men, we know that when we come home, we gotta listen to her fucking bullshit. We gotta listen, like my mom, like I've never been married, thankfully. But I dated in the past, and it's been many years since I dated, but I can remember like coming home having to listen to just the bullshit that comes out of an ex-girlfriend's mouth about how her day went, whether at work or with her friends, and it's just like, fuck, I gotta listen to this shit. But I remember just listening to my mom just going on and on and on. Oh man, about just fucking rambling about bullshit at work with her coworkers, and oh man, just nonstop. You guys think I talk a lot. If I was in the present with my mother right now, I couldn't get a word in. That should let you know how fucking domineering and how much she controls a conversation. If a motherfucker like me couldn't get a word in, if I was in her presence. I ain't shitting you guys, man. I'm long-winded. I got pipes. But when it compares to my fucking mom, who I haven't spoken to in years, all right, I haven't spoken to her probably since 2012, okay? But her pipes, her ability to dominate a conversation is just fucking pretty impressive. I have to give her that. But I just let you know about the point about with lesbians is that the reason why I see that you have the rate of divorce and the rate of domestic violence among lesbians is because you have two people who are competing against each other for each other's attention, to dump on each other, to unload on each other, you know, to confide in each other. And if one person is listening, they don't have time or an opportunity to dump on the other. They have to sit there and stew and listen to their partner dump, unload on them. Whereas with men, we have to deal with our own shit. Okay? So we're expected to have to listen to a female ramble and dump on us and use us as emotional fucking tampons. Because we don't use them as emotional tampons. Alright? Because women don't want us to fucking open up to them. They want us to fucking be there so they can fucking dump on us and confide in us. But they don't want us to fucking offer solutions. They just want to yak. They just want to fucking emotionally dump and we just listen. See, men on the other hand, we hear something, we want to offer a solution. And I think that's the reason why a lot of gay male relationships work. Because men are practical. And when you got two men together who are just like, if they combine each other, men are problem solvers. We want to get shit fucking solved. We want to work it out. And so when gay men get together, I can see them just like, okay, well, you know what? Let's work it out. And you know what? Gay marriages tend to fucking work. They tend to fucking not have violence. And I also think that, the role of, of sexual compatibility plays a big part in that as well, because my gay male friends here in San Francisco, the ones I've had opportunities to talk to, these guys, they have sex right away when they first meet. They don't do this like, well, let's take things slow. Let's get to know each other. Let's go on a number of dates before we even go there. They don't do that shit like fucking straight women make most men do. Not all men, most men. Gay men understand that if the sex isn't there, they fuck right away on the first date. Because if the sex isn't there, there's no sense in going any further. Now, does that mean that just because the sex is there, everything's going to be hunky-dory? Of course not. That's not what it says. What it says is that if the sex isn't good or compatible, then there's no sense in going any further because it's not going to work. Now, obviously, just because the sex is good doesn't mean it's going to make it work long term. What it says is, okay, we got a chance. If sex is good, let's see if we can make it work outside the bedroom. Because if the sex is not good, I don't care what you do outside the bedroom, it's not going to work long term. And gay men know this. And they're smart enough to want to have sex right away because they're like, okay, let's just get out of the way. If it's not good, we don't waste each other's time. But the problem for women, straight women, is that they know that only 1% of men make them tingle down there. So if they were to have sex with most men right away, it would not work for the women. The relationship would end right there. Because most women just are not into most men. And only the Chads and the bad boys would get a second fucking date. So most women end up making most men wait. Hella wait. They expect most men to put up their end of the deal. In other words, we have to be like the non-Chads and the non-bad boys. We have to be able to put up our ability to protect and provide right away. We have to exhibit that we can do these things up front for a woman. So she gets her expectations, the check marks that she's looking for. She wants those check marks up front. But our check marks, we have to wait for ours. The things that we want, we got to significantly wait. In other words, we have to be willing to protect and provide and be faithful and commit right away. However, if we want to get our suck and fuck on, then we have to wait on that shit. She don't have to suck and fuck us right away. She can wait until she decides that it's worth her while to do that for us, knowing that she's not going to enjoy it. And the only way she's going to do that for us is if we hit enough fucking check marks. But here's the thing, and I think most men need to fucking start understanding this. It's that in the past, most women could make those relationships work because they did not have access to education, career, or money-making opportunities. But nowadays they do. All right? And the last thing that these modern-day females want to do is fucking settle. They don't want to settle for that fucking guy that don't make them tingle. So, most men, we don't make them tingle. So, fellas, the 99% of men who are not a Chad or a bad boy, you need to seriously consider removing yourselves from a dating scene. Because most of these women are not sexually attracted to you. This whole like, oh, well, you gotta fucking take steps to fucking make yourself that guy. It's total fucking bullshit. There's nothing you can do to make yourself that fucking guy. You're either 6 feet tall or above, or you're not. You're either hot or you're not. You either got a head full of hair or you don't. You either got a great smile or you don't. You either got that great chin or you don't. You either got naturally broad shoulders or you don't. You either got a big dick or you don't. Okay? You either got money or you don't. There's any number of fucking check marks that these fucking, entitled, delusional, unrealistic harboring females have that they will use to disqualify you if you don't hit certain check marks. So I'm telling you fellas out there, you're just better off just saying, you know what? Remove yourself from the dating scene. There are plenty of things that a single man can do you can bring pleasure to your life without having to deal with these fucking impossible to please, delusional, unrealistic, harboring expectation females. Because deep down, most of these women don't want most of you. They don't. They look at you and they get the ick feeling. They got like any number of reasons, 300 reasons to fucking ick you. And I'm telling you guys out there, most of you are not that guy. Most of us will never be that fucking guy. And it's okay to admit that. We ain't doing anything wrong. It's like, if there were women out there that would never have sex on a first date with any man under any circumstance, I'd respect that. But most women, true, will make most men wait. Hella wait. Take things slow with most men. Except for the Chads and the bad boys who make them tingle. When they come across those guys, Most women do not make those guys wait. They don't make those guys pay for dinner. They don't make those guys commit. They don't make them be faithful. They will fucking slide them their DMs, give them their phone numbers, and fucking give those guys the cookies right away. Because deep down, most women want sex just as much as most men do. Women want to have an orgasm. They want to have their backs blown away. But the problem for most women is that there simply aren't enough chads and bad boys to go around for all these fucking females that want them some fucking chad man meat, some bad boy bone. There's not enough of these guys go around. And those guys are the ones that are racking up huge body counts. They're juggling rosters of females. And they're going through a female friends group. A number of different female friend groups rosters. That they can have like a main chick that they're messing with. And some Chad or bad boy is just running through all her female friends. And yet each of those female friends think that they're the only one that he's cheating on her friend with. I'm telling you, man, let me tell you something. I play poker with a guy who is that guy. I'm not going to name his name, but this motherfucker is that fucking guy. Very impressive guy, good looking guy. And I've seen his cell phone and how he keeps track of all the females. He saves their messages, and it's just pretty impressive of like how he can keep track of them and each of their female friend groups. You know, he's got them in folders and he saves their messages, and it's just like, man, yeah, this guy is just a fucking, oh man, he's a dog in heat. That's all I can say. And you know what? They let him fucking run through them. Most men will never be able to do what this guy fucking does. And, you know, and it's pretty impressive. One guy can run through, he's running through probably 35, 40 different women, you know, in the course of a fucking month. I mean, it's just, yeah. You know, if they ever were to pass a law that enforced monogamy, that made it like a criminal offense for a man to have sex with more than one woman at a time, that you can only be in a relationship with one woman at a time, then women all over would have a fucking harsh reality check. Meaning that you would see how delusional your expectations are when it comes to, you know, what kind of man you think you deserve. Because the guys that you were all into, if they could only pick one woman at a time and they couldn't cheat, they couldn't run through, they couldn't string along, man, you ladies, most of you ladies would be in for a rude awakening. 100% rude awakening. Anyway, I mean, it's just incredible. You know, just the delusion among most of you fucking females out there, the sense of entitlement that you have. I mean, especially the fucking heifers. I mean, women who are, I mean, on these dating apps, they allow women to filter out for guys that, for height. In other words, they want guys who are 6 feet tall. Then if a guy's being honest, if he's 5'11" or below, then his ad doesn't come up in her feed. And yet, these dating apps do not allow men to filter out for women's weight. Why is that? A man cannot control how fucking short he is. And before you ladies out there start bitching about me, I'm 6'2". Every bit 6'2". I'm not, 5'11", saying 6. I am every bit 6'2". Okay? But I know plenty of guys who are like 5'5", who are good guys, who go to the gym, who make good money, and they have a hard time dating because they're 5'5". And yet, a lot of women who won't date a guy that's under 6 feet tall will, if a guy will disqualify a woman that's overweight, a lot of women will consider him to be a misogynistic douchebag who's fat phobic. And how dare he? And I'm sitting thinking, wait a second. If you're a heifer, if you're a female that's overweight, what's wrong with you dating a guy that's overweight? Why do you have to fucking, only want to date guys who are hot? Is it fair to the fucking hot guy who did everything it took to become a hot guy to have to fucking settle for a fucking shamu, a fucking whale, a fucking heifer? No, it's not fair that that guy that he should be subjected to that. If that's what he wants, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna dog a guy for what he wants. But come on, ladies. You think you're all entitled to that fucking guy. But here's the thing that what baffles me is when it comes to the hot women, given that hot guys don't grow on trees, if a hot guy were to, quote, pick a fat woman, that's one less hot guy for the hot females. You think the fucking hot females are going to take that shit laying down? Come on. I mean, just totally unfucking real. And it's just like the whole modern day dating is just a fucking shit show. It's totally ineffective, and it's just like a minefield. And I'm glad I don't date. I gave up dating back in 2007 when I was 35 years old. I'm 53 now. I'll be 54 next month in January. And you know what? I don't regret giving up dating. I mean, I live life on fucking easy mode. No drama, no stress, no angst in my life. I come home to a peaceful home each and every fucking day. It's like peace and quiet. I have my dog. I have my kitty cat. They're glad to see me. I'm able to take my dog out a couple of times a day. Go on nice walks with her. Go to the park. I can be able to watch what I want on TV. If I want to go play poker, if I want to go watch a sporting event, there's some friends of mine I can go on hikes with. If I don't want to chill home, if I want to chill and watch Netflix, I mean, I have the freedom to be able to just do what I want to do. I'm not responsible for anybody. I don't have to worry about leaving the toilet seat up. Okay? I don't have to be mad if somebody fucking left dirty dishes in there because I clean up after myself. I don't leave dirty clothes hanging around. My dirty clothes go into the washing machine as soon as I take them off. I throw them in there, and then when it gets full enough, I wash my laundry. I have a clean house. But at the same time, like I said, I will leave the toilet seat up. So what? I'm a guy. And I like not having to come home to argue with somebody. I love not having to be responsible for somebody's validation needs. Because women, they need to be told how fucking wonderful, how fucking special they are. They over and over again. That they're loved, that they're appreciated. And then you gotta be, I don't miss like not having to fucking be on a fucking stakeout for, is their mood okay? Or some friend that did something to them, or some coworker, is she in a bad vibe? I don't want to have to deal with that shit. I like not having the extra expense that comes from dealing with women. Women aren't cheap. Women want to be fucking entertained all the time. They want to go out and do shit. And they expect the guy to fucking pay. And it's like, I like being able to just live a relaxing, chill life. A peaceful fucking life. And it's like, I don't see a female around that is worth me giving up my peaceful, easy mode life for. And that has value for a man like me. I value what I have. I love the kind of life I have. No drama, no stress, no angst, no conflict, no responsibility. I mean, imagine if I had to bring a female into my life. All the shit that would have to come into that. All the responsibility, all the effort that I would have to partake in to deal with that. And what for? I mean, do I make her tingle? Most likely no. Because I'm not a Chad. I'm not a bad boy. So she's going to end up down the line coming to resent my motherfucking ass. And she's going to compare me to some guy that used to make her fucking tingle. Then she's going to eventually come across that fucking guy. And then she's going to dump me. She's going to wake up one day and realize that she can't take it anymore. And then she's going to dump me. Likely file false domestic violence charges against me in order to get custody of the kids and to get favorable divorce settlement and take half my shit, alimony, child support, economically rape me during the divorce. Fuck that shit. I am not going to put myself out there for that shit. That right there, fellas, is what most of you have looking for you when it comes to dealing with these modern day females in today's dating climate. I'm serious, fellas. You need to reevaluate what it is that you want to do when it comes to the rest of your life. Because marriage in today's dating climate is a big fucking L for most men. A big fucking L. I'm out.